let's do that.
Yeah.
I have an announcement. Makeup training for the club officers is July 16th, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
July 14th.
14th, thank you. And July 23rd from 6 to 9 on Zoom. So any officers needs assistance, we'll be happy to do that for you. Are there any other announcements?
Sure.
Locals?
I am so proud of Margot Sue Bittner about the winery that she keeps us reminding of. We need to encourage a lot of tourists to come and visit all these places to revive the economy. So Margot is doing a super job. Also, Jill, you're outside in physically. I am actually outside virtually, just so you know the difference.
I recognize the company name.
Thank you, Locals. Are there any other announcements? Dave?
I went to Tops last night and I inquired about Marty Johnson because I believe he's in the hospital.
What?
So does anybody have any Marty information? Because I couldn't get any Marty information at Tops.
Marty had surgery on July 2nd, from what I understand, and he will be off work for, I think, a week to two. I've not got an update from him yet as how he's.
I left a message on his phone yesterday.
Could our secretary send him a card from the club, please?
I suppose I could.
Jill, let's talk about that after the meeting if you have time, or we can talk.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Margot. Good idea.
Hey.
We gotta help Cecilia out with her camera.
That's right. Cecilia's head is off the camera, so you need to tilt it little down. Now it's better.
There we go.
Much better.
There we go.
Hey, David, you're the best. You always figure out to improve.
I have a degree. I have a degree in broadcasting.
maybe I didn't want to be seen yet. Okay.
Get more to the move. How to move a little bit more.
Yeah. No, that's good because I wanted to
That's
see
good.
her, so it's
Yeah.
much better.
All right.
Is
If
C.
there are any-
Monachino a guest? I see C. Monachino. Is that that's not
Yeah.
Tracy, correct?
Good
Oh,
question.
Jackie, I can't hear you.
He's actually my guest. I
Oh, would you like to introduce your guest?
tonight, and he wanted to get on our meeting and see what it was like. This is Chuck Monachino,
Okay.
a cousin of my husband,
All right.
and lives in Rochester. And he's been curious about Toastmasters for a while, and heard that we were doing Zoom meetings, and thought he'd like to try that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie, for inviting your guest. And welcome, Chuck, wherever you are. You can just observe and listen if you would like. And since we gave Tracy enough time at this point, I thought she was coming on. But Eric, maybe roll into offering again if anyone is interested. Margot, did you say was
Yeah.
that Margot?
Yep.
Margot, our
The clergy.
clergy
Clergy
in the Zoom.
Invocation. Dear God, as I live each day, may I do my part to make one difference and to touch one heart. And through each day, may it be my goal to encourage one mind and inspire one soul. May I spend my days wisely in all that I do, caring and loving and living for you. As we say, amen.
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 It's beautiful. Now the pledge. Imagine the flag. If we there we go. Larry. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Larry, great.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
To the flag
of
of
the
the United States of
America
America,
and
and to the republic
For which,
for which it stands,
one
One
nation,
nation, under
under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I will turn things over now to our Toastmaster today, our VPE. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. I kind of already snagged it a bit, I suppose, running things. There's just some housekeeping. We'll get situated. I am looking for a jester still. Anyone who jumped on who has no role, please let me know if you'd like to prepare a quick joke or you just know one. And we'll start with word master today, Jackie Kenny. Jackie, what's our word?
Our word of the day is temperate, and you'll see it in the chat. Prairies are not in a temperate zone. It means a mild climate, or it means showing moderation or self-restraint. For instance, she spoke in a very temperate manner. Please use the word, everyone.
Thank you, Jackie. And we'll talk about the temperate climate a bit, tied into my flowers behind me, and Nicholas has some of the prairie flowers behind him as well. And our master volunteered. Our master today is Larry Eggert. Larry, will you share with us your job?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I will be the master today. I will attempt to be temperate in my use of this powerful office, but I'll be looking for any ahs, ums, pregnant pauses, or weird uses of the filling voids, I guess is the best way to put it. And I'll report back at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Larry. Our grammarian assisting him with that and going deeper is Cecilia. Cecilia, how are you challenging yourself today to help us?
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Today,
morning.
as your grammarian, I'm going to be listening for supposedly the proper use of grammar. And also, I keep saying that's one thing I like about the English language, because it's always changing. It's always evolving every day. So I'm going to listen for some interesting words and phrases. So I'm going to report back to you later on in the program.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cecilia. Our quote master volunteered today. Ryan, are you ready?
I am always ready. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you for this opportunity.
Good morning.
This morning, I bring you the wise words of a strange yet intelligent man, Albert Einstein. The most beautiful gift of nature is that it gives one pleasure to look around and try to comprehend what we see. And I just really like that because it's really deep.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy that, let it ruminate, and thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Ruminate.
Okay.
I already got.
And Gerald, Dr. Stevens offered a joke. He also is speaking. Does anyone? I gave him extra duties a couple weeks ago. So okay, Phil Russell is also shaking his hand. Sorry, Dr. Stevens, I already doubled you up. I felt so badly. All right, Phil Russell, ex-wolf man. Oh my goodness, that's a joke all there by itself. The floor is yours.
All right, I must say this at first to our guest Chuck, who plays a wonderful trumpet and bugle. And this is for my old and good friend Kevin. When Kevin and I used to go out to, let's say, just have some fun, we were never temperate at all, as Jackie can attest to. Now, the joke is, what animal can only survive in a temperate climate? A lukeworm.
A lukeworm.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I'm out of here.
Thank you, ex-wolf man. Our timer volunteered today. Such a more challenging role in this time with Zoom. Mike Licata, what's your role today?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. I will be using my tablet this morning, displaying in my screen. Our table topics are usually 1.5 to 2 minutes. Speeches are usually 5 to 7, and our evaluators are usually 2 to 3 minutes. And I will have the display on there and make sure that you can see me on your screen. I know this
Timer really is a new challenging role in this environment, so I will try my best this morning. Thank you.
Can you show the screen for just sampling?
Oh yeah, Mike, can you give a sample so we know what we're looking at? Thank you. Okay, you'll hold your phone up and show the yellow, the green, yellow, red. Oh, we can't hear you. There we go.
Yeah, no, it'll show up that way.
Okay.
Green, it'll show up green, yellow, and red. Yeah.
All righty, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mike. And our gesture master today is Eric.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters guests. As your gesture master today, this will be the first time I ever done this on Zoom. I know I will do my best, is to follow people's body movements, and I will be reporting back when called upon to do so, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Eric. Our quiz master is Thomas. Thomas Heldwine, where are you, Thomas? There he is.
I'm not at the hospital this morning.
Whoa, day off?
I just took 3 hours off. So I gotta still go in.
Well, thanks for doing that.
The quiz master job is for me to listen very closely and find those little details in everyone's stories or something about the meeting to ask later to see how well everyone paid attention.
Great, thank you, Thomas. Our general evaluator today is Len. Len, what will you be doing today?
Oh, you remembered me. It's always nice as a general evaluator. My job has already begun. I've started evaluating our Toastmaster, her organization skills, and filling these unplanned vacancies. I will also be evaluating the 2 evaluators today and report at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Len. All right, Mike Licata, it says that you've raised your hand. I don't know if you touched your screen or did you raise your hand? Would you like me to call on you?
I'm just trying to use it so that the speakers can, I'll save it.
Oh, if you raise your hand, does it keep you up on the screen? Is that the idea?
I think so, yeah. I'm just trying to help out to make it
Gotcha.
more efficient experience.
Gotcha. Perfect. You can do that then. And we will do the table topics portion after the speaking portion this morning. For anyone who looked at the agenda, we are skipping a speaker today. So I put myself in that role to block it out. That was the fastest way I could think of to do that. So we blocked that out. So our first speaker today will be Gerald, evaluated by Moklis. And instead, for our second speaker, it will be Larry, evaluated by Sylvia. So we're going to go in that order now, and then we will continue on and do table topics after that. So, oh, Jill, thank you for the quote from Amit Kalantri. I don't know who that is. To a farmer, dirt is not waste, it is wealth. Indeed. I could talk a bit about microprairies first before we roll into table topics, but not too much. Jill has a wealth of experience of all kinds of gardening. Cecilia has a wealth of experience in many kinds of gardening. I certainly do not. I'm apparently in year 1 of like 3-year phasing in of micro prairies into my garden. I finally own the house that I've been living in for 3 years. So now my grandparents' home is mine. We closed on it a week and a half ago. Hallelujah. We've drank to it on our social hours more than a couple of times. Many of you have assisted already, so I appreciate that so much. Now we're flourishing and trying to turn some of our little acre into a space for the pollinators, for the bees, for the butterflies, for the ecosystem that we've kind of carved away in our normal crops. Did anyone know the largest crop in America? I know some of you know what it is. The largest crop in America, the lawn. The lawn culture. And so they're everywhere. And in some places, I can't imagine being in a homeowners association where you have to follow so many rules and this and that. I'm very fortunate to be out in the country where I am. But there are so many places that are just chemical laden, perfectly manicured lawns, and to each their own, I suppose. However, that is not my style, and it worries me when I know that so many of the ecosystem is harmed by that. So much of the ecosystem is harmed. You'll probably hear more about this and get actual slideshows from me as I make this happen, because right now my yard is looking pretty dead. But we're working on that. Not the whole yard, just some pockets. But we have wonderful paths, and we're making a micro prairie out of our space. In any case, I'm not sure if we'll follow on the path of that today through our meeting. You're welcome to talk about your favorite flowers. The idea of micro prairies would be to keep local native plants and supporting the local wildlife through that. In any case, we'll talk more about that later. I'd rather roll into our speakers, I think. Did we get any more guests or anything? I don't want to miss anything here. Thomas, is that your screen? There's like two screens. Is that Tom Moran, or is that Thomas you're on too? Just checking to see who's in the house. I've got Thomas viewer or something. So maybe that's Tom. Oh, viewer only, sorry. Okay.
Pam is a guest.
All right, and then Chuck is our guest, and Pam is our guest. Awesome. Okay, fabulous. Well, let's get into our speaking portion, unless there are any questions from the floor. All righty, awesome. Our first speaker will be Dr. Stevens, DTM, and he will be evaluated by our DTM, Mokles. Mokles, will you share for us first?
Good morning, everyone. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Our first speaker is Dr. Gerald Stevens. He's speaking from the Pathways Leadership Management Communication. I think it's level 5. Am I right, Gerald?
Yes.
Okay, and he will be talking about leading a volunteer organization. And I'm looking forward to his speech. I was hoping it was going to be international travel so I can travel with him, but we'll see how the volunteer organization stacks up, because most of us do a lot of volunteering in many different capacities, and it's one of the best ways to enrich our soul. So looking forward to Dr. Stevens' speech. It's 5 to 7 minutes, he said. And I don't think I have a title, but he'll share us the title before he starts. Thank you.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. The title of today's speech is Perception versus Perception. Is perception reality? You hear that a lot in different media, and I feel like people say that a lot, but is it? I don't know. I perceive things one way, and another person might perceive things a different way. If you saw a car accident or a crime possibly, different people view things different ways. But if the perceptions line up enough in my mind from different people, then that is closer to reality. Or maybe we're all in Twilight Zone episode. It is 2020 after all. Toastmasters does help you with leadership. And I did recently lead a organization, the Amherst Chamber Toastmasters. I was president of that club. I was honored to do that. I enjoyed it, definitely. But I also have led a number of things over the years. So I have some experience in that. So I think it's important to know, for the people that don't know me, that I do have some leadership experience. Started off in Boy Scouts many, many years ago, different positions. In college as a president of the outdoor club, a volunteer organization. I was a leader in the Army. That is way different than a volunteer organization. So many people definitely know that. We definitely have a few veterans in our group here. If you don't do things in the Army, there are repercussions. You can get possibly physically tortured with many push-ups. At work, many of us are leaders as well, right? There are repercussions at work if you don't do certain things. You could get fired. I'm a chair of a number of things at the New York Chiropractic College. So I do have some leadership there as well. In addition to that, I lead in the chiropractic organization I'm involved with the New York State Chiropractic Association, and also a national organization, Chiro Congress. We're involved in making a strategic plan for the entire nation, for the profession. That's way different than making a strategic plan for a group. So we have a big undertaking going underway. So I learned things from these different experiences that help. And Toastmasters is definitely something that can help with leadership. And our new officers are going to learn some things, I'm sure. So my perception of experience with Amherst Chambers Toastmasters, I started off in the group, and my main goal was to form a good team and have the team members do their tasks. We have a bunch of new members there, so you got to educate them on what their tasks are. So I did that. I did have a veteran member, which is a coach, Jen Zappa. She was my VPE, so she was very, very helpful to have a veteran person as well. So it's good to have a good mix of leaders, I think, in a volunteer organization. A little institutional learning isn't the worst thing. And in this group, I felt like we had a good year. We had our first social hour, which was fun. We had an open house, which was successful. And we became select distinguished. Last year was distinguished, maintained 20 members. I helped with positivity of the group, and the members all got along on our team. Initially, there was some friction there, so I helped with that. There's always challenges that go on. Anybody who's dealt with the volunteer organization, certainly. Our treasurer dropped off partway through, and I had to get a replacement, so I did. And this treasurer was brand new, so I had to help him with that. I actually helped behind the scenes in regards to calling members. In the treasurer's role, his bandwidth was very low. He has a lot of kids, and responsibilities. So I stepped up with that. Our secretary also kind of dropped off a little bit. Thankfully for me, Jen Zappa stepped up and kind of helped out with that role from time to time. So that was nice. So I appreciate that. Well, how did the other officers perceive what I did? The officers rated me scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most positive. Mostly 4 and 5s. I did get some 3s. They recognized that I was a realist. I didn't expect them to fulfill all their time with various gigs. They recognized that I didn't have meetings all the time, just have meetings. That was good. So I appreciate that. And they also saw that I had some need for improvement. I didn't do new member inductions as often as I should have. I agree, I should have done that. So there's always room for improvement. One of them thought I was a hands-off leader, but in reality, I had the hands-on where they needed to be. And but it was just behind the scenes. And one of them thought I didn't prioritize anything, but there was usually not a lot to prioritize. So different perceptions for different things, but we can always learn and we can always improve. So in Toastmasters, we have these paths for leadership, and just by jumping up for a role is definitely helpful to do that. So for our guests and our new officers, congratulations, by the way, into your leadership journey here. And I hope that you will soar like an eagle above the mountains and increase your leadership skills through Toastmasters. I'm glad you grabbed the opportunity. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stevens. Our second speaker today is Larry McKenzie, and he is evaluated by Sylvia. Sylvia, please share with us about Larry's speech, and I do have his title.
Okay, good morning. This morning I have the pleasure to evaluate Larry. Larry is doing an icebreaker in another path on Pathways. He hasn't shared that with me yet, but I will get his evaluations things. And the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Kate, you said you had this title?
I do. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
And I suppose I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning that it finally just dawned on me that our Larry McKenzie just earned his DTM this past couple of weeks. So no wonder he's doing another icebreaker on a new path, everyone. I should have connected that immediately as your VPE. Apparently I have a long way to go. I have to follow in Jackie's path. In any case.
Congratulations, Larry.
Bravo, Larry. So sorry for disrupting your introduction in that way, except I think everyone should know that coming into your speech. So congratulations, Larry.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for you. You've done such an amazing job. So moving on from that, because we will touch on that again, I'm sure, later, I'd like to introduce our immediate past president, our newest DTM, Mr. Larry McKenzie. Gone fishing, Larry McKenzie.
Gone fishing. Everyone loves to fish, right, Dave Licata? So he says. He says he has this great place to go fishing, and he keeps inviting me to bring my grandchildren to go fishing with him. I have not taken that opportunity to do so. And I keep saying to myself, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that, but I have yet to do that. Why? And then I was reminiscing the other day about when I was younger and this opportunity that I had to go fishing. Let me tell you about that. My family is from a small fishing village in Nova Scotia, a little town called Canso, C-A-N-S-O. It's the oldest fishing village in all of North America. It was founded in the early 1600s, 1604 to be exact, is when the town incorporated. And it is a small fishing village. And if you see behind me, this is in the Canso Harbor, modern day, not from the 1600s. Some of the fishing boats that you see, the little boats that are over my shoulders, those boats are what inshore fishermen fish with. Those are not the big fishing trawlers, and they're not the where you stand on the dock and you throw your line in and you go fishing like normally we would do around the area here. Well, when I was 14, I kept saying to my uncle who lived in Canso, his name was Cecil. Now, Uncle Cease was a temperate gentleman. He had such great restraint whenever you would ask him something and you would say, Uncle Cease, would you like to take me fishing? And he would say, sure, boy. Are you sure you're up to it? And I said, of course, I'd love to fish. Until Uncle Cease said, well, tomorrow we're going to go fishing. I said, oh, great. I told my mom and she said, are you sure you want to go? And I felt, well, gee, it's going to be just like I normally would go fishing. I was wrong. That evening, Uncle Cease said, well, better get to bed, boy. It's 9 o'clock. It was still daylight. I said, get to bed? Yes, we got to go early morning out for go fishing. Okay. So I turned in and I laid there. Couldn't go to sleep. About 2:30 in the morning, I was finally asleep and Uncle Cease is shaking my feet. Come on, boy, get up. Time to go fishing. It's dark out. I got up, went downstairs, pulled my rubber boots on, and we start walking down to the dock where his boat is. And as we're walking down to the dock, I said, it's kind of dark, Uncle Cease. Are you sure it's okay? Oh, yeah, boy. He said, we go out every morning by 3 a.m. Okay. We get down to the boat. And as we're getting into the boat, it's a small boat. It's probably about 20 feet. Not like any of the boats that you see nowadays on TV and things where they have the big cabin cruisers and things. This was an open boat, and it had a car engine style motor. And you steered it with a stick on the side. And so we got in the boat and we're starting to go out. And I figured, well, we're just going to go out a little bit and fish. I was wrong again. As we started going out into the harbor, I'm looking around and I couldn't see anything. And I just kept looking and looking. And he said, take a nap, boy. So I curled up in the front of the boat. He said, I'll wake you when we get there. Well, when he woke me, he didn't have to wake me too much because the boat was going like this. And my stomach was going in the same direction, just as the sunrise was about to happen over the horizon. So I looked over the railing of the boat. I could not see land. But the boat was going like this, and we were on this little roller coaster of fun. And he says, well, boy, come on, we got to get some fish. He said, we're not out here to have fun, because he fished for a living. So him and the two gentlemen that worked with him and myself, he hands me this line that looks like a washer board. And on the washer board, at the end of it, there was a hook. And it was a 3-prong hook. I said, what's this? He said, that's how we fish, boy. I said, oh, how do you do that? You throw the line over the side of the boat and you let it go down till it hits the bottom. And then you pull it back 3 times. I said, well, what's that? He says, well, we're pulling it back about 3 fathom. What's a fathom? He says, and then he shook his head. He said, well, that's how we catch the fish. So I had my line in and I was standing there and he says, you got to jig it, boy. I said, jig it? He says, yes. So you have to pull. And what you're doing is you're actually snagging fish. You're hooking them and you're jigging them. So once you catch the fish, you got to reel it in. Well, my 14-year-old hands wasn't really happening because I was not able to pull a fish in. His hands were all calloused and like this. I thought it was just because he was older than I was. I was very naive. That was from all of this pulling of the fish. As I was starting to pull, the boat was going one way, I'm going the other. And all of a sudden, my stomach decided it wasn't liking this quite ferocious movement of the water. And I decided I should probably add some things to the water. And it wasn't pretty. And he wasn't happy. So he said to me, Larry, sit down for a minute, boy. He pulled my line out of the water, made me sit down. He said, grab something to eat. My mom had made me a sandwich. So I'm sitting there and the boat's going like this, and I open up my brown paper bag. My mom made me a sandwich. It was a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Not the best thing to have right after you've just lost half of your cookies over the side rail. So, needless to say, I was back up and over the rail. Now, Uncle C said to me, Larry, boy, you better get used to it because we don't go back in until about 1 in the afternoon. This is about 6 a.m. now, 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm thinking I'm going to die out here. By the time we started heading back in, the boat had about 1,000 pounds of fish that they had caught. So now over the back of the boat, they're gutting the fish. Seagulls are coming from everywhere. And I got sick again. And we finally made it back to the dock, I thought. But no, we had to go and sell the fish. Get there, and then they bring these big buckets down. You fill it up with all of the fish. They take it up, they weigh it, and then they add it to his tally for the end of the week. And that's how they got paid. From there, we went back up to his dock, and we got out of the boat, and we started walking up to dinner, so they say, because they had dinner in the afternoon. That was their supper. We're walking up the hill, and as we're walking up the hill, I felt like I had drank about 4 bottles of vodka, but I was only 14, so I really didn't know how that felt. But if I would have known, that was probably how I was feeling. So I made it up the hill. We sat down to have some lunch, and my aunt had made corned beef and cabbage. Not a good thing after you'd been sick for about 6 hours. Needless to say, going fishing wasn't exactly what I thought it was. So when Dave Licata keeps asking me to take my grandsons fishing, I keep thinking of that story, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I could do this, but someday I may go fishing. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Not the positive memories that maybe some others are hoping for. You have to replace those memories.
It was interesting.
And give good ones to the grandchildren. Thank you very much. Can I please have a timer's report from Mike Licata?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. Unfortunately, Larry came in at 8:10 and did not qualify. And Gerald came in at 5 minutes and 52 seconds. That is my timer. That is my timers for this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I apologize for interrupting. Okay, so there's no need for a vote out of the 2. So congratulations, Dr. Nice.
Objection. Objection.
Oh, it's an icebreaker, but wait, Thomas, go ahead.
Objection. It's an icebreaker. He's allowed all the time he wants.
Objection. I should have known better.
Not for DTM.
The DTM icebreaker is a bit more higher standard, I see. For our guests, an icebreaker is typically a brand new speaker giving their first speech. We call the icebreaker. The highest rank you can achieve in Toastmasters is DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, after the paths that you follow to train yourself in being an amazing Toastmaster. And we have many in our club. We're fortunate to have so many. Now, a new member gives an icebreaker, but even after you've reached as far as you can on one path to become a DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, you can continue. There are many paths to follow, many ways we can improve our communication and leadership skills. So, David, what's that saying? Stay in Toastmasters? No, wait, you're muted. My apologies. Let's unmute Dave before he starts.
Get out of Toastmasters what you could get out of Toastmasters. Go ahead, Dave, take it away.
If you get out of Toastmasters, what you should get out of Toastmasters, you'll never get out of Toastmasters.
There it is. I think we should type that in the chat or something so it's saved. I always stumble on that when I try to remember it. And that's why we have so many DTMs and others continuing on and giving new icebreakers.
I need
So
this
Thomas
DTM
makes a good
thing.
objection. In general, we let the icebreaker go as brief or as long as they like. However, as a DTM, the standards are higher. All right. So let us move on into our evaluation portion of our meeting and start with Moklis evaluating Gerald. Moklis.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters of the AM Lockport. It's worth getting up for, I agree. And guests, and of course, most importantly, Dr. Gerald Stevens. He gave a very serious topic, but included some humor. Volunteering is a very useful, purposeful, and beneficial to the individual as well as the society. He started with the title, which is excellent. One title can give a lot of information about what to expect. Perception versus perception. That means there's some intrigue. I was kind of curious where he's going to go. And then he started with Amherst Chambers Toastmasters Club, which was great because it shows the relevance of the topic to all the audience here. He carried on with Boy Scout, outdoor activities in California, Army training, and the New York Chiropractic Association. Overall, I would say there's tons of good information. What's more important in Toastmastering is personal experiences. And Dr. Gerald Stevens related many of the personal experiences in his journey of volunteering and still staying focused on the Amherst Chambers Toastmasters Club, that it achieved select distinguished status. It had some members move in and out, or officers actually, which is a tremendous challenge to the club leader. Audience participation. He mentioned Zen Zeppler twice to make sure we understand the topic is relevant, local, and of interest to us. What areas of improvement? The main area of improvement would be, I wanted to see more energy. I mean, volunteering is a passion. It's something that you do for the love of labor, not for pay, not for anything, not even recognition. And the voice variation could be more strong in terms of making impact. And as I always admire, the richness of experience, please pause to let us sink in the message or the topic that you are covering. Overall, I would say it was a great speech with a lot of variety, a lot of inspiration, a lot of motivation for us to participate even more strongly in a climate like pandemic. We are in a temporary situation to life. We have to still figure a way to help the community, the society by doing some volunteering work. Kudos to you for a great speech. and looking forward to next one, international travel. Just a request. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moklas. Good ideas. Always good ideas. Okay. Moving on to our second evaluator, Sylvia, evaluating Larry.
Okay. Well, Larry's DJ and entertainment skills really shows in Toastmasters. He's very theatrical. Hand gestures, pulling the fish, facial expressions, leaning into the camera to get our attention. It drawed us all into his story. It was very theatrical. I like it. It's good storytelling. The word of the day was used, and you, or I should say, you were the example of word of the day, really. Very even toned, very mild temper. And that's good with the storytelling. I enjoyed it. You did go over the time. So the only thing I could suggest, is it's so hard with Zoom of doing speeches, and I as you can tell, I'm not very good at it. I only listen to a lot of webinars more than speaking. Practice your icebreaker the next time you want to use it so you don't go over the time. But the visual, the scenery behind you, the leaning into the camera, like I said, and the storytelling, it was very interesting story. I liked it. I like family stories. It drawed us in, and I could visualize walking down the path to the docks with you, getting on that boat. And unfortunately, I get motion sickness too. And I found out the hard way at I think Fantasy Island or something in that order years ago. So I could relate to that. And one time or another, I think we all got some sort of motion sickness. But it was a very good story, Larry. Congratulations on your achievements. And Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. May I have a timer's report, please, from Mike?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Unfortunately, Moklas came in at 3:32 this morning, and Sylvia actually did qualify at 1:58 with the 30-second buffer. So that is my report. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. So, Moklas went over. I do that too. And then Sylvia, you didn't even get a green light, but you snaked in with the early buffer, like Mike said. So no need to vote again. But thank you, Larry McKenzie, for still prepping all of those polls anyway, even though we did not need to use them. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Okay. I am going to put into the chat a whole lot about micro prairies. Some of you are interested, some of you are quick readers, some of you don't care. So I'll put that in there because I'm not going to do a PowerPoint or anything until I have something to show you that's mine. I thought about putting up a PowerPoint of different photos. It's something that you can do in your own back garden, or just let me do it and show you the pitfalls and such. And I'd love advice from those of you who are into gardening or have heard of this. Micro prairies are now nationwide. They're really across the planet in many spaces, more urban or more where there's been sprawl that has taken out or clear cut any kinds of the natural setting, the wildlife habitats that are there. So micro prairies are about putting natural species back where they belong. And that's what we'll be trying to support. As we've been, my fiance Wallace and I, Wally, as we've been growing things in our little yards, we love to see the birds and the butterflies, the creatures that come. This past year, our neighbors had some large trees where butterflies just landed for 3 straight days. They were gorgeous. We'd never seen them before, and they just kept coming. And then that was last August. And this spring, they took those trees down. So I'm sure those butterflies will not be coming, which is too sad because it was an amazing sight. I've never seen so many so up close, not just in a video. And we had cardinals this year. We're on the right track. We had cardinals nesting in our front shrubs. Some of you even saw that on a social hour night because I tried to take you on a little tour of my front yard. In any case, we will be doing our social hour again this evening at 7. Let's roll into our table topics portion. Typically, to our guests, we would put table topics at the beginning, but we flip that. We can rearrange as needed. And table topics is the opposite of the prepared speaking portion. It is when there is extemporaneous speaking. So it's improvised, and I'll let Jen take it from here because Jen is going to call on some of you more than usual because of our timing. All right,
Yes.
Jen, our table topics master today.
Thank you, Kate. I am so excited about this topic. Kate reminded me that I had signed up for this role last week, and I was so grateful that she had. Otherwise, you would have gotten a very different table topics this morning. Our first table topics contestant today will be Jill. And Jill, today our theme is going to be going the colors of the rainbow. So I'm going to ask you to pick a color of the rainbow. I can't hear you. I'm not sure if you said a color.
Oh, purple,
Purple.
indigo,
Yes.
violet. I'm thinking of the color wheel there, you know.
Yeah, that's exact. You know what? I had indigo and violet together because I only have 6 questions, so perfect.
Oh, okay.
Your question today. Now, when I was growing up, I did watch The Little House on the Prairie, and I was really confused. I could never figure out why it was in color because in my mind, television shows had been filmed at the time that they took place. Like I thought they were real. So I could never figure out how they got Little House on the Prairie in color. So I wonder if you ever had experiences reading or watching Little House on the Prairie and what those were. And don't forget to use the word of the day, temperate.
Little House on the Prairie was probably not my favorite book or TV show. I would watch it occasionally. I wasn't a regular watcher of it. I'm not sure why. The books, I think I read them because we were assigned them in school or something. My books tended to go towards horse books because horses were my dream. I read all the Black Stallion books. At a certain point, I started reading serious horse books, things like anatomy and stuff like that, which a little bit harder to hold a conversation over. As far as Little House on the Prairie, I have my own little house on the prairie here right now. And I don't have time to pick up the camera and show you my flowers, but I'm sitting out among them. I had a squirrel here just a minute ago, kind of upset with me because I'm sitting right next to the feeder that they usually raid in the morning. So he's not real happy with me. And he almost came to my feet and bit him, I think. And I'm looking at all my flowers. And the sun is getting hot on my body, which is why I moved the umbrella and I've got this big yellow blotch behind me now. I should have kept turning it until I got the purple one there. But books have also gotten me into the gardening. Since I can't really do horses anymore, I do gardening. And I'm obsessed with my garden book collection. I have quite a library of them if anybody ever wants to borrow one. So there we go. Books are very, very important in life. Read them. Thank you, Ms. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jill. Our second contestant today is going to be Carol. It does not look like you have a job, so Carol, choose a color for us and then I will give you a question. We can't hear you.
Blue has always been my favorite color.
Blue. Okay. What does your outdoor oasis look like?
Well, actually, not right at our house, but 10 miles away down on BB Road, we have land that my husband's been farming all of his life. It was in the family for a couple of generations prior to our generation. And he has a very large area where he plants all kinds of vegetables, peppers, tomatoes, squash, and he also has flowers. If you drive down BB Road just north of Chestnut, in the summer you will see a lot of sunflowers and cannas that are red along the edge of the road. And the thing is, I mentioned my favorite color is blue, and of course you're looking at mostly green in the garden. However, we do have our swimming pool behind the old schoolhouse on our property, and that the lining of that is blue. And the nice thing about this year, we are not exactly in a temperate zone right now. We're more in a tropical, and that pool has been a nice oasis to enjoy this summer. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Carol. Our third Table Topics contestant today is going to be Dave. I know he is relishing the opportunity to speak, and so Dave, we have a few colors left in the colors of the rainbow, so which will you choose?
Is red available?
Red is available, Dave. And
Good.
your question today, now Kate has talked a bit about micro prairies, and I think that they are important because you see around us all the time, you know, the lawns, as she had mentioned, the lawn culture, which I know Jill isn't a fan of, Kate isn't a fan of, and I'm gonna third that one. But the micro prairies are a way to go eco-friendly. So in your life, Dave, is there something that you would do or recommend to be eco-friendly?
Thank you so much, Madam Table Topics Master. But I'd like to thank Katie Banks right off the bat for her theme, because it's just another thing to worry about, Katie. Thank you so much. I can walk out of my yard now and say, oh my God, does this yard lead up to Katie's standards? So we wish sometimes Katie could be a little bit more temperate in her selection of causes, but that's not going to happen. Now, my prairie, my little prairie out there in my side yard is very important. It's where I have my parsley plant and my basil plant. And that's, if you want to cook in the true Italian fashion, fresh basil is so important. So I am babying these plants beyond belief. My good, patient, long-suffering wife, she's got roses, she's got hanging plants. We do attract hummingbirds here at the Licata Mansion, but I'm really focused on that basil and parsley because it's a tremendous ingredient. Now, I want to tell you about my newest best friend, and right after the sun goes down, he makes his appearance, because I know our yard is full of slugs and grubs for him, and we had the most magnificent skunk, which I naturally have named Pepe Le Pew. And this is an amazing skunk, and he's the size of a Buick, and he's well fed, so I know I'm doing something right. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Dave. Our next contestant today is going to be Charlie. Charlie Deacon. Your color choices are orange, yellow, or green. What will you choose? Can we help unmute Charlie?
I think I've got it now.
All right, excellent.
Well, actually, I would have taken red, but David took that. I drive a red car, and I love red, but I'll take yellow.
Yellow. So today we're talking about microprairies again, and as Kate mentioned, they're one way to attract different birds and bees. I know there are a lot of places that offer things like milkweed and want you to plant milkweed to attract monarch butterflies and whatnot. So is there something in your life that you've done to attract the birds or the bees? Maybe you have a green thumb that you could tell us about.
Well, when my first wife, Ann, was alive, we belonged to 3 garden groups: Iris, Daylily, and Hosta. And, you know, when you've got a flower garden, you need temperate time. And actually, we had a great garden of those 3 flowers. And in reality, that's how I got involved with LCTV television. We were at an Iris meeting, and they wanted television to do some stuff. And so my wife put her hand up and said, Charlie will do it. We didn't own anything, camera or anything, but fortunately LCTV provided stuff like that and trained. So from then on, I've been involved with LCTV. And up until even after Ann died, I tried to keep the garden going, but I wasn't quite that good at it. But I did remarry, and I married a gal who liked gardening. So we still have a garden. She works now, and I don't get out there to do that. So that's my story at this point. Adam, Table Topics Pastor.
Thank you, Charlie. We do still have more questions today, too, if you're keeping count. And our next Table Topics participant will be Pam Gorman, one of our guests today. So Pam, your color choices will be orange or green.
I'm going to go for the temperate color of green.
Green. You're going to love this question.
Oh boy.
Your question today. Now, as a kid growing up, I had the opportunity, and maybe you did, I'm not sure, of playing the Oregon Trail because it's been around since the 70s. I didn't know that, but I looked it up last night. So perhaps you had the opportunity to play the computer game, the Oregon Trail, where the settlers went out west in the covered wagons and they died of like snake bites and dysentery and all kinds of things along the way. And they had to go hunting and their animals were killed off. It was sort of terrible. So have you ever had the opportunity to play Oregon Trail or visit the Oregon Trail?
I actually have no idea what you're talking about as far as the game. I've never heard of it, so I have not had the opportunity to play it. And I've also never visited the Oregon Trail. It sounds like something that would be very interesting. Both of my children seem to be drawn to Portland, and they are talking about eventually living there. And I imagine that one day I will get there myself. and visit them or explore on my own. Since I've never heard of the game or have been there, I can talk a little bit about exploration. I recently, some of you know, went on a solo trip to Italy. I started off in Rome and ended up in Florence and then back to Rome before I had to hurry back home. But Florence, if you've never been there, is a very walkable city. You could probably get from one end to the other in 45 minutes if you didn't stop. But how could you not stop? There are so many things to discover and see there. And if you've seen any of my pictures on Instagram, I showed a lot. The trip was a gift for my son, and I was a little bit unprepared because I had less than 2 months to plan it. I picked up a pair of hiking boots because I knew I would need something to keep me on my feet with those cobblestone walkways. And I was able to visit and see lots of different things. I did take a tour with a guide in a sidecar who took me to the top of the hill where I could look at the whole city. That kind of felt like it might have been the Oregon Trail. It was a slow but exciting ride through the hills and the vias to look down at that beautiful city. So I apologize for not having input on the Oregon Trail, but perhaps one day I will. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Pam. Please tell me someone else has actually played the Oregon Trail besides me. 80s culture? Okay, just me and Kate. Cool.
It's a totally 80s culture thing, but at least Larry has the background that he has so you folks can see.
You played it. I played it.
Steve
I
played
played it.
Kids. I played with my
tragic.
kids.
All right, all right. Well, if you haven't played the Oregon Trail, it's a real history lesson there, people. Make sure you check that one out
I
sometime.
did play it also.
Our final table topics contestant today is going to be Tracy. Tracy, unfortunately, you don't have a color left to choose. I'm just going to give it to you. It's orange. So we've talked about a lot of things related to micro prairies today, the ecosystem. We've talked about the West, but we haven't talked about the micro portion of micro prairies, because if you have a lawn, you probably don't have a giant lawn, or many people don't. So you have to do a very small portion. So Tracy, what things do you prefer in miniature?
What things do I like in miniature? Well, I like being short. That's all miniature. Just to talk about micro prairies, though, it's very interesting, and we can't do anything anymore without going into COVID-19. And being in this, it's really brought me back into thinking about more sustainable living and not depending so much on going out to the grocery store every 2 days and so forth. So lately, I've been taking this time, I've been learning how to can, I've been learning how to cook more. And we have about 3 acres of land. And we thought this would be kind of cool, learning how to grow asparagus, because asparagus is one of those crops where you can just plow up and it comes up naturally every year. You're not replanting it. So that's something that we were going to try growing within the next couple of years. It takes 2 years for this crop to come up, but it'll be fun to try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Another thing that I've noticed just along with nature, I've been going along walks along the canal trying to get rid of my COVID-19 pounds, but I will walk along and stop every 3 minutes because there's berries right now along the canal or any of the paths that I'm walking on. So I'm not really losing weight. I'm eating more than I'm walking off, but I am enjoying it because I love berries. And that's something that I would like to be able to plant in the backyard too, because I could spend an entire day picking and eating berries. I have to be a lot more temperate in my eating. I can't eat my way berries through my whole entire walk, but I will learn to do that. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tracy. Jackie, can we get a Wordmasters report today?
You may. I heard the word from Charlie, Pam, and Tracy. If the other three people said it, I didn't hear it, and I apologize for that.
I used it.
Thank you, David.
Because I said Katie should be more temperate in her causes.
I'm sorry I missed that.
You're forgiven already.
Okay.
I used it too.
Yeah, I think I heard everybody
Okay.
use it, just so.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I thought everyone had,
Yeah,
but I
Joe
wasn't
did
sure.
use it also.
Okay. Everyone used the word.
That's good. Maybe went for coffee.
Excellent. And can we get a timers report? Mike.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Jill came in at 2:07. Carol came in at 1:59. Dave came in at 1:47. Charlie came in at 1:51. Pam came in at 2:14, and Tracy came in at 2:05. So all of our contestants qualified.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
job.
And I will go ahead and turn it back over to our Toastmaster today, Kate.
I don't know how to choose. What's happening? Oh, mine might be different because I'm an admin. Sorry, I'll let Larry figure it out. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we changed things up a bit today and went into a different direction. Dave, this started by being temperate because we didn't want to mow as much as we have. So if we cover many spaces with beautiful patches of wildlife prairies, then we simply have to mow around them. We have pavers in between. We're excited. We may be in over our head, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Katie, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Those daisies behind you are bigger than your head, so I think you should cut back on the Miracle Grow. Thank you.
I'm not to use Miracle Grow. Yeah, we do use Miracle Grow, but not too many chemicals otherwise. But yeah, those are some healthy flowers. Maybe in like 5 years, I'll have something look like this for real. Okay, let's, I suppose, move to our general evaluator. Len, would you be ready? We gave you some time with table topics there, so.
You gave me a lot of time.
Okay, it's all yours.
It was very nice.
Up to you how much you want to run or not. Alrighty?
Okay. First off, wonderful job, Kate, for organizing this meeting, pulling it all together, and for adapting. Being short a speaker is never a cause to panic. You simply extended the table topics section, and it kind of broke up our meeting a little bit and gave more people a chance to participate, which was a wonderful thing. You filled a couple last-minute roles. Some went unfilled, but it's still a wonderful meeting. We had ample warning. You got some emails out here, and we're ever hopeful that we'll actually have a 3-month schedule one of these days and be able to plan our lives around that. And to our evaluators today. Muklas, evaluating Dr. Stevens. You touched on a couple of good points in a sandwich format, of course. It's hard not to mention Dr. Stevens' humor. I would have liked to have seen even more. And one of the things that we've come to expect with Dr. Stevens is animation. I would challenge you to find a way to stand up and walk around. It really gets the blood flowing and really increases the energy level in your speeches. And that's become the norm for you. So sitting down, it just doesn't come across quite as well. Both of the evaluators, Muklas and Sylvia, were visibly looking over at their notes. That's tough not to do when you're doing an evaluation. The only thing I would recommend is maybe put your notes closer to the screen so you're actually just looking down rather than way over to the side. It's a little thing. I'd like to see a little bit more vocal variety as well, Dr. Stevens. A little bit monotone, but Good content in your speech, liked it. Sylvia, excellent eye contact. You're doing something which I've been harping on for a while now. You're looking at the camera as opposed to your screen. And that's where you really connect with the audience, by looking at the camera, because that's how we see you. I think you went, you quoted on, you commented on Larry's time. And Larry could have tightened it up a little bit. Sometimes he seemed like he was searching for phrases or words or another way to describe his sickness, let's put it that way. And there are so many colorful euphemisms. With a little advanced preparation, Larry, you could have really punched it up and added some humor to that. Larry, you got credit from Sylvia for your background. I would go a little further with that. That is the ultimate prop. When you can use a virtual background to accentuate your speech or actually put people into a place, you actually had the harbor from the town where you grew up and where you went fishing. So the prop doesn't get any better than that. Searching for phrases, tossing cookies, you made a reference to that. It was good. And Larry, of course, you need to come in on time as a DTM. You don't get any pass for that. So our evaluators, great job, what we've come to expect. Kate, great job. You're kind of looking off to the side as well. I need you to find the camera, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Len.
Would you like to call for reports, or would you like me to do that?
Either way, I can do it. You can do it. What do you
Go
have
for it.
for?
Go
You had
for
a
it.
long drive yesterday back from Pennsylvania, huh?
Actually, I'm still here. It's ahead of me yet.
Oh boy. Well, drive safely back then.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Len. Sure, let's move on into our reports today. I guess we will start with our gesture master, Eric. Eric, how did our body language do? Challenging on Zoom. Or you there? Okay.
Sorry, I was just getting some cereal real quick. I was hungry. Let's see if we get my notes here. All right. This morning we had some very good uses of gestures and people looking at the camera, which at times I can't do that to save my life. But everybody did well. Daryl, good uses of your gestures, but a little more adamant in future speeches. But overall, you did wonderful. Larry, you were like very enthusiastic, energetic with your gestures. All of our evaluators did wonderful as well. But like Len said, maybe put more of your notes in front of you instead of looking side to side. All of our table topics did do good with their gestures as well. And I couldn't see more of like Tracy's because her son's glaring up on her, but everybody did a wonderful job today. And I have a question for Len. Len, you said that there's what's the rhymes with tomato, orange? What's the answer to that one? I was thinking tomato.
Nothing.
No, that's
There's
the
no
joke.
word in the English language that rhymes with orange. FYI, it's one of the few words that nothing rhymes with.
It's like an oxymoron.
I learned something new today. Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Eric. How about next, our master? Thank you for volunteering, Larry Eggert. Larry.
Thank you again, Madam Toastmaster. I had a pretty easy day today. I listened pretty intently to everyone, and I was pleasantly surprised that there were very few ahs. I think that's a sign of how well our club does, the membership dedicated to Toastmasters. There were a few. Cecilia had a pregnant pause. Ryan had a really long pause at the end, which built my anticipation for what he was saying. Dr. Stevens had one ah, Sylvia had one, and Carol had more than 5. And that's my report, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Larry. Next, Cecilia as our grammarian volunteer. Oh, you're muted. Oh. Go ahead, Cecilia.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have some good news. I think Larry Eger took my role. I have some good news. I always like this group because we know about our grammar. I just wrote down some interesting phrases and words. I'll start with Gerald. Repercussion for your action. Hands-on leader. And soar like an eagle. And Larry Mackenzie. Sunrise out over the horizon. Snagging, jigging. And this is the most, I think I like this quote from Toastmaster. What you get out of Toastmaster, you'll never get out of Toastmaster. I'm not sure if I say it right. But I heard this phrase before for Toastmaster. And Sylvia, very theatrical. And Kate, yeah, eco-friendly. I was wondering what that term that you said, fairy gardening. I thought that's a miniature thing, but it's actually just a regular gardening. And Jen, out there oasis and releasing the opportunity. And Jill, I'm not sure about stuff like that. Also got, and Carol, again, nice oasis. Dave, long suffering wife, a size of a Buick. And that's it. Wait a minute. Pam, walkable city. Cobblestone, walk away. And Jane, is it Oregon Trail? And Tracy, this is a new one for me. COVID-19 pounds. And Lynn, color for euphemism. And that's my report for today.
Thank you, Cecilia. Yes, the COVID-19 pounds. I think a lot of us have heard about it, or it's hovering around us or something like that. Oh, and by saying Oregon Trail again, you reminded me. So we're from Western New York and we say Oregon Trail. And as a girlfriend who, no, that's not necessarily correct. I loved the game, also didn't like dying all the time because it was a game that was solidly in my generation. But you never made it to Oregon. You never made it there because you died of all the things that 90% of them died from. In any case, I had a good friend out of college from Oregon, and she said, you don't say Oregon. Who are you? Where are you from that people say Oregon? It's Oregon. Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon. Get that into your minds, folks, because if you go there, they're just going to look at you like, oh my God, just no. Oregon. It's a nasal Western New York thing, but it's across the country, I think we tend to pronounce it incorrectly. So if an Oregonian has not corrected you, I was very nice in letting you know. It's Oregon, Oregon. I've only been there once and I loved it. So Pam, if your kids move there, that's exciting. So in any case, our quiz master today is Thomas, who volunteered instead of being voluntold. So thank you, Thomas. What are our questions today?
Okay. Well, they seem pretty temperate at this point. For our speakers and our evaluators, without a buffer, how many spoke to the proper amount of time?
8.
8.
That is correct. All of the table topics people did hit the court, and there was one evaluator that talked to the proper amount of time, or speaker. All right. We used temperate quite a bit today, but how many times was it used in the chat?
Twice.
It was only used technically to give the definition and a sample sentence, and then as a reminder before table topics.
Not a bad idea. Maybe we start using the word of the day in the chat more as well as the conversation. So anyway. Any more, Thomas?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Real quick. Who filled in as jester?
Dr.
Phil.
Dr.
Bill.
All right. What type of sandwich did Larry's mom make him?
Peanut butter and banana.
Peanut butter and banana.
An Elvis
And then
special.
last, what is Dave's skunk name?
Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew, which is a tie into last week. All right, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Thomas. Our word master, our quiz master snuck it in again. So word master, how about temperance?
Temperate did all right today. I heard you use it several times, Kate. Phil used it and Thomas used it several times. I found a rhyme for orange, I think. Borage, which is an herb that grows very well and has pretty little blue flowers on it. It's
Right.
close.
It's close.
Yes.
Poetic license. Pam suggested porridge. Now you say borage, maybe forage. But technically, I don't know. I read it in some trivia thing somewhere. David might know about the random trivia. We know these things.
There's a whole cartoon strip where the gentleman decided to name his cartoon strip Rhymes with Orange because he knows nothing rhymes with orange. So he's being real cute and ironic.
Dave knew. Jackie, anything else?
That's all I heard. Admittedly, I didn't do real well with the word this morning.
I think it was a great word. Thank you very much for that. Okay. I have our polling in. Since we did not need to vote, we know our best speaker today is Dr. Stevens. Congratulations, Dr. Stevens. Our best evaluator is Sylvia. Congratulations.
By default.
Okay, by default, but nonetheless, top speaker, top evaluator. And we did have competition for table topics. And drum roll, our top table topics participant today, Charlie Deacon. Charlie, congratulations. Awesome. Fantastic. I would love to hand the meeting back over to our president to wrap up for any closing announcements. Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Toastmaster. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. And I just want to do a plug-in. Rhetorical Roar is in need of some spots open for our meeting tomorrow. And would anybody would like to come and join the meeting?
Can you email the time and everything to the membership? It's noon, correct, on Friday?
Correct. Yep. I will definitely do that. Tonight's our social hour, 7 p.m. I know Larry posted the Zoom link. I like how you put Drink Fest, as I like that.
Who's Toastmaster next week?
Yeah, there's opening for Toastmaster for next week.
If anyone has not been Toastmaster in some time and would like to tackle that, it is open. There are a lot of roles open. I'm happy to assist you in filling them like I did this week. But then from here on out, I'll roll out the assignments like it's traditional, like we have been doing. So anyone from the floor interested in being Toastmaster this coming Thursday. The agenda is up as blank, so people can sign in for roles and confirm. Anyone? Anyone? Oh boy. Well, we'll find someone if there's no one jumping at it. So
We gotta do a straw, like pick a straw.
thank you for bringing that up, Margot. Were you interested? Would you like to be, or you have enough on your plate?
Next Thursday is my husband's birthday.
Happy birthday to Jim.
I
So
am
nope.
not certain I will be there. Yes.
Good idea. All right, we'll
July
sort that out
16th.
then.
I have to go deliver flowers to my in-laws first thing in the morning. I do that every year on his birthday.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, then. Thank you for bringing that up, though. So if we don't have anyone jumping at it, we will figure that out. Maybe even tonight. All right.
If nobody else pops up, I'll do it.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. Are there any last minute announcements before I adjourn the meeting? All right. Well, folks, have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool. I know it's going to be another hot one today. And we'll see you all next week. Oh, Larry?
The training for the...
Yes.
It's the 14th.
Yes, and the 23rd.
We'll send out an email for that to the officers.
We did already, but we could again.
Yeah, we can do it again.
You have to sign up for that too. Thanks,
Hey,
Eric.
everybody. We can adjourn the meeting and then stick around for post toasties. Anybody who
What,
wants.
what did the guests think about the meeting?
Oh,
Yeah,
Pam?
Jackie, did he message you at all?
He did. Unfortunately, Chuck had surgery recently, and he just wasn't feeling well this morning, so he had to sign off. But I think we'll probably see him back here again. He was really very eager to try it out and see what it was like. So maybe he'll be able to stay on with us next week.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Charlie, for asking. I meant to bring it up since I noticed he did have to sign off. Dave, did you want to say something? Your hand is raised.
Well, no, we didn't have any international guests today. I'm worried about our ratings.
Yeah, our ratings might go down. We had it all prepared.
How am I gonna sell advertising in this?
I
We had a
forgot.
great idea that we would have, that Jen could do half members and half guests and have a split voting so that guests would only be against guests in table topics and members would be against members. And of course, today's the day.
She jinxed us.
We
Yeah.
had so many. No, that was, what a good idea.